guys, today we're going to be talking about something called probability. When I think of probability, I think of the word probably. It's trying to tell you if something is probably going to happen or if it's probably not going to happen. There are a few words that we'll learn that will help us decide if it's probably going to happen or not. Let's learn some of the vocabulary words. First, though, let's look at the definition of probability. What is probability? Probability is the chance that something will happen. So it's if it's a very high chance that it's going to happen or if it's a very low chance. Let's look at some examples. What is certain? So everybody say the word certain. If something is certain, then it is going to happen. Definitely, no matter what, it's definitely going to happen. Certain. It is certain that you are watching this video right now, because if you weren't, you wouldn't know what I was saying. So it is certain that you're watching this video. What's another example? Well, I'm looking out the window, so I know it is certain that it is sunny right now. I am 8.5 months pregnant, so it is certain that I will be having a baby in a few weeks. Who has another example? I want you to pause the video and think of an example of something that is certain. Good job. The next word that we're going to learn is likely. If something is likely, it means that it will probably happen, but not definitely. It's probably going to happen, but not for sure. Something could happen to change it. Everybody say likely. It's likely that it will rain one day this week, but that always just depends on what the weatherman says. If he says it's going to rain, it's likely going to rain, but he can't be certain because he's just a meteorologist. He's not able to prove it. I want you to think of another example that's likely. Okay, the next one is equally likely, which just means, I want you to look at the word equal, and it just means it has to be equal chances. So think of a balance. It can't be one chance higher than the other. It has to be equally chances. So in order for that to happen, it has to be 50-50 is what we say. If something is equally likely, it means that there is a 50% chance it will happen, but also a 50% chance that it won't happen. The odds are equal. It is equally likely that the new student is a boy or a girl. And the reason is, it's because it could be equal chances for a new student to be a boy or a girl. We don't know. Equal chances. Let me think of another example of equally likely. It's an equally likely chance that it is either day or night, because there are only two options and you don't ever know which one it is. Equally likely. The next one is unlikely. If something is unlikely, it means that it's probably not going to happen, but it still could. You just never know. It is unlikely that it will snow today because it's already late spring by the time you're watching this, hopefully, and it usually doesn't snow then, but it could happen. It's unlikely, but it could happen. Try to think of another example of something that's unlikely. The next one. The next word that we're talking about is impossible, okay? Impossible means that no matter what, it is not going to happen. If something's impossible, it means that it is not true. It will not happen. So a lot of times we say, oh, that's impossible, but it's actually usually just unlikely. If something's impossible, no matter what, it's not going to happen. It's impossible that 2 + 2 = 5. Because we know that it equals 4. It's impossible that that will ever be the answer. Okay? Try to think of another example of something that is impossible. Alright, so now that we've talked about the words, which are certain, definitely going to happen, likely, probably going to happen, equally likely, 50-50 chances of happening, unlikely, probably not going to happen, but maybe, or impossible, definitely not going to happen. Let's try to do some examples to see if you can figure out which ones are which. Alright, this chart shows the different types of umbrellas sold in a store and the number of each in stock. So, let's look at the type of umbrella and how many there are. If Carly picks an umbrella without looking, which umbrella would she most likely pick? So the way you would figure this out is you would look at the types of umbrellas, you would look at which one there was the most of, and then that's the one that she would most likely pick, because the probability is she would pick that one because there's the most of it. So which one did you choose? You should have chosen B, because that is the one that there's the highest number of. So it's likely that she's going to pick the pink one with little flowers on it. Okay, if Carly picks an umbrella without looking, it's impossible that she will pick which one. So think about which one that no matter what happens, she cannot get it. If you picked D, the blue umbrella with stripes, then you're right. The reason that's impossible is because there's 0 of those. No matter what, she can't get that because there aren't any there. Impossible. Okay, now Carl has this bag of counters. He has blue and he has green. Carl has the counters pictured inside the bag. If he pulls a counter without looking, it will most likely be, so we're back at likely. Is it more of a chance that he'll get blue or green? I want you to think about that for a second when you're looking at this bag. Good, you should have chosen green because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green, and there's only 1, 2, 3 blue. We know that it should be impossible for him to get red or yellow in this case because there are 0 red or yellow. It's also not certain that he would get any because there are 2 different colors. Drew now has this bag of counters. If he pulls out a counter without looking, which one is it impossible for him to get? So knowing that impossible means definitely not going to happen, I want you to think about which one he definitely can't get. Blue, could he get blue? Yes, slash the trash. Green? Yup. Red? He has a chance. Now, are there any yellow that he could get? No yellow. So it is impossible for him to get a yellow counter. Oh, Dawn has this bag with these counters. If she pulls out a counter, which one is it certain that she will get? If you chose red, you are correct because there are only red counters in the bag, and no matter what she pulls, it's going to be a red. There are no blue, no green, and no yellow. Kelsey has these counters pictured in the bag. If she pulls a counter without looking, the chance of her pulling out a blue is... So now we're using our vocabulary words. We want to know if her getting a blue is impossible, likely, equally likely, or unlikely. We know that there are blue in the bag, so we can go ahead and slash the trash on impossible because we know that it is possible for her to get a blue. We should probably count the counters to figure out the rest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blue. It's really good to collect your data in a graph or a bar graph or a table so that you can see. I'm just making a quick little table. So I know I have 5 blue, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red. And because we know that 5 equals 5, we know that that is equally likely for her to get a blue and a red. Now, Kelsey has these counters pictured in the bag. If she pulls a counter without looking, the chance of her pulling out a yellow is, we know that there are yellows, so we're going to slash the trash on impossible. It is possible for her to get it. We also know that there's only 1, 2 yellow. Let's count the rest just to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 red. So see how I make a little table with my information? That helps me. I know that 7 would be likely, but they're not asking about red, they're asking about yellow. So I'm slashing the trash. I know that if it was any equal number, it would be equally likely, but 2 doesn't equal 6 or 7. So, because 2 is the smallest number out of all of these, I know that it will be unlikely for her to choose yellow, but it could happen. So it's not impossible, it's just unlikely. Okay, Brandon's teacher has a prize box of erasers with designs. Below is a chart that lists each type of eraser and how many are in the prize box. So they already have a table for us this time. These are the types of erasers, and that's how many there are. If Brandon picks an eraser without looking, they want to know which one he's most likely to get. So you would look at the eraser that has the highest number. I see 2 numbers that have 3 digits, so I'm going to go ahead and slash the trash on those. Then I'm going to look at 103 and 121 and think about what's the largest number. And I know that 121 is. So I'm going to come over, and I know my answer is stars. Alright guys, that was enough probability practice today. Remember, the words that we are talking about are certain, definitely going to happen; likely, probably going to happen but might not; equally likely, 50-50 chances, equal chances; unlikely, probably not but could; and impossible. Now it's time to practice on your own.